Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans, to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther III, and today, Ringside crew, as I like to say when it's a big show, because it's the 8 o'clock show, let's give it, like, this woman right here, she doesn't have to impress anyone. To me, she impresses me immediately, because she was back in that era of women's wrestling where it was kind of a thing, but the wrestlers kind of like, okay, about women's wrestling. This woman is amazing. This is why I brought her back on Dudes at Ringside for the third time. Let's give him a warm Dudes at Ringside return to the one and only Brittany Brown. Welcome back, Brittany. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, and yeah, we talked about a lot of things, fun things before where we were live. I should have waited, but still, I love talking to you, Brittany, because you're a legend. And it's like,
oh, thank you.
I am so honored that you could sit and talk to me about this in this era, like, of the women. Now, what, like, have you been watching any of the product now? Because that women's match last night on Saturday Night's Main Event was amazing.
Oh, was it? I haven't watched lately. I really got sick of it a really long time ago. And then I pretty much only watched AEW. And then I stopped watching that even. AEW was getting kind of cartoonish for me a little bit. And also it seemed like the women's division that they built up so much, it kind of went backwards just as fast as it did forward. And I was like, what's happening here? Now, everybody, all my friends, people in and out of the business are saying, well, now WWE has a great women's division. So you need to start watching that again. So maybe I will. I've heard some great things recently. So I think I will watch it. So tell me about the match last night. What was on Saturday Night Main Event?
It was Saturday Night's Main Event. It was one of, I guess you would say it's another line off John Cena's farewell tour. Tiffany Stratton was taken out. I can't think of her name of his point. Everybody's been lately calling her Storm, and she kind of looks like Storm from the X-Men. She faced her for Tiffany's World Women's Championship, and I thought it was just going to be a retain of the belt. I thought Tiffany Stratton was just going to retain because, Saturday Night's Main Event, you don't really ever see a champion only once lose their belt on Saturday Night's Main Event. And she beat Tiffany Stratton. Like, hands down, she beat her. Knocked her out. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure the reaction was the same as yours with everybody. Like, wow, I can't believe I just saw that.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that nowadays because, like, I know you say you don't really watch the thing. When you go to these shows, do you ever go to an indie show and just sit and watch these women that are competing these days?
I haven't in many years. It's probably been 10 or 12 years since I went to an indie show. A friend of mine keeps asking me to go, and I keep saying no, but I think I might change my mind and start, checking it out, checking out the talent in the area. Why not?
You should see them. There's some talented. You're from Boston, right, Brittany?
Yeah, outside of Boston. Yep.
There's some really talented female wrestlers in Boston that I know if you told them who you are, they'd probably freak out. Like Becca, she's a young female wrestler from the Boston wrestling scene, and she doesn't spell her name traditional like Becca. She puts B3CCA.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
Yeah. I think something happened when she was a little girl. She said what happened. I think it was that somebody made fun of how she spelled her name, and as a little girl, and then she kept that style with B3CC, and it's different. She's like, you see Becca's,
definitely, yeah,
and you don't get her. You have to put the 3 instead of a. That's an interesting autograph.
Yeah.
How do you change that? You can't. You just have to keep the 3, make the curve it a little bit. If you're a heel, what do you make it sideways? Well, like the last time I think I remember we talked about a lot of you working with Sherry, Dre Martel. Is there any other female wrestlers that you think that really never got their flowers back in that era?
Somebody I worked with at the very beginning a few times, Jean Kirkland, Black Venus. She was excellent, and I'm very surprised that she wasn't made the WWF Women's Champion back in the 80s. I'm really surprised. She was excellent. She had the look, she had the strength, she had the talent. Um, I just think she was great. There's also two girls that I worked with quite frequently. One was Shelley Francis, also known as Rosebud, and Brandy Alexander. And I feel like if they both didn't leave when they did, they would have been huge. They would have been huge because they both had so much talent.
Wow. It's incredibly insane to think that a lot of those female wrestlers that almost made it into the WWF, like a lot of them never got the clout, or the everybody else got the flowers, and they're just like, oh, sorry, we ran out, box is empty. Here you go.
Right?
Like,
That's a
you
good
know what
way
I
to
mean?
put
Like,
it. I know. I know
yeah,
exactly what you mean.
yeah. There was a line of certain women that Vince's dad liked and they all wanted, and they cut it off. They
Yeah,
closed
I
it,
agree.
and it's sad because if you look at women's wrestlers, mainly you get Luna, you get Mae Young, and you get some of the other ones that they barely talk about, like Jungle Girl back in the day.
Mhm.
There's a lot of them that like they barely talk about, but they were in the division, which they never showed their matches on TV. The good thing they even made it into the WWF. In the 80s, the bomb girls, the
The
Japanese
Jumping
bomb,
Bomb Angels?
yeah, the jumping bomb angels, like they're underrated, and
Oh, they were great.
they were like a team that everybody's like, oh, they're gonna win, or like, no, I don't think then the other team, they beat the other team, and like, oh,
Yep, they were great though. They were really, really great. And I know that I've heard Leilani Kai saying that her and Judy loved working with them when they did. The many times that they did. I've heard her say that multiple times. And I guess one of them owns a restaurant in New York City now.
oh
That's what
wow,
I've heard. Yeah,
oh wow.
pretty cool.
I gotta find out, anybody in the chat, if you're watching this or watching it later, comment below the name of that restaurant, so I can tell my sister, and I can go with my sister and be like, "Hi, I'm Joe. I'm a wrestler, not a
That's
wrestler." Run.
okay though. That's okay though, because I hear she's wicked cool with the fans. She brings out her belts, her memorabilia, everything. I've
Oh
heard that
wow.
from multiple people. Yeah, they said she's really, really personable, very nice, very friendly, and does autographs and photos. So I think, yeah, you and your sister, if you went, you'd love it.
Oh my gosh. Angela will be like, "Who is this guy? Who is this girl again? Who?" Oh, she'll do what she did when she met Roddy Piper's daughter, Teal. Have you met her yet?
Teal, yep.
I love
Yes.
Teal. My sister's like, "Who is this?" And I'm like, Roddy Piper's daughter. And she was like, "Oh my God, oh my God, I loved your dad, Roddy Piper." And she's like, "That's my dad." And he's like, "Oh my God." This is just like,
Mm.
I don't even get excited for wrestling, but this is cool. I have a daughter. I was like,
Yeah.
like, do you ever feel when younger fans come up to you and like get so like that knew about you, they get starstruck at your table when you go to like conventions?
Um, well, not so much anymore. Some of the younger talent sometimes acts that way. But like fans, they probably don't even know who I am now. The younger people. You had to be like your age and older to know who I am. Um, but I don't know. Everybody's been super cool. I'll say that over the years, going to the different conventions and the award ceremonies and everything. Everybody's been very cool and very friendly. And, you know, It's been very nice.
There's there's like so much to this with wrestling. Like, do you ever feel like the era that you lived in was with the era you did your wrestling in is like the everybody counts their eras as like the best era. Do you count your era with you when you were in wrestling was like the best era?
I think so. I think we had a lot more opportunities because there were so few women at the time. So I could have wrestled full time if I chose to. I made enough money on the weekends and during my vacations that I could have had that just as a job.
Mm.
So the fact that I did have a full-time job and I did that was like gravy. It was just gravy because I could live on either or. So the other one was just gravy over it, you know? Um, and it's rare for an independent worker to say that they could have lived on that, but that's how many bookings I got because there were so few women back then. So I think that we did have um the greatest era. I will say that because the amount of other ladies that were there were so few and far between. We got a lot of
Yeah.
work and a lot of experience.
Yeah, I can imagine with you traveling and doing stuff like that back then, like getting invited to like a place like Las Vegas that we were talking about before, and I did want to talk about that. Like back in the day, being in Vegas, like was it harder to get around? Because I know Vegas was not as big back in the day, so you had to like book your flight and know where you're going. You know what I mean? Nowadays computers and everything.
Well, I mean, I'll give you I'll give you an example. Um, the very first time I think I went there, I was there with Shelly Francis. We flew there together from Logan. It took us 26 hours and either 4 or 5 airlines to get there.
Oh my
We
god!
held up taping at LPWA because that's how many flights were canceled. And this was March. So it shouldn't be weather related, but there were just so many problems back then. And then, you know, the arena was so far from the airport. The arena was in Laughlin, Nevada, and that was like a 2-hour drive. And they already were 3/4 of the way back at that point, going, well, the girls never showed up. And then they had to send them back out. And, you know, it was horrific traveling back then. It really
Well,
was. It got better over the years. It
and
did.
it's other thing you
But
don't have to worry about a phone like okay, it's if it's 8 o'clock here, it's 4 o'clock over there. Like
the time difference, yeah, that's a problem too. Yep.
yeah. So
And it's always tough going back to work after being there for a week too. Like we were there for a week doing tapings, and then you got to go back to work on Monday. You fly back Sunday, and it's like, oh, is it really this late here?
yeah, I'm feeling it now. Like I feel tired. I was like got home on I think it was Saturday. I got home and I was tired, so I went to bed. And then when like my mom said, "Do you want to eat anything? Let's get food." And I'm just like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm not hungry. I don't want to think." I got like coffee and whatever. But
Yep.
yeah, for like, let's like I don't know. It's crazy, Brittany, that like there's so many details within wrestling. Like for you, like, do you feel like you should go into being a coach or whatever, like in trainings now because your experience?
I mean, I have done that before. I've trained and helped train a few people, but I don't think it's anything I really want to do right now. I think if the right opportunity came, I would consider it. But, you know, it's pretty much everybody just, you know, come down, do it. You know, we need your help, things like that. I don't have a problem doing that when I get a call like that, which I've gotten several of. It's been a while though since I've gotten a call like that because I don't really go around to any of the local shows anymore. Um, I think I'm gonna, like I said earlier, I think I'm gonna start doing that though. I
Yeah,
think I'm gonna
definitely.
start doing that.
You should definitely do that. That's like really good for you because once these younger wrestlers know about you, they're going to be like, we need her to come back every show. Like, you know what I mean? They'll want you to come back. And then the fans that are from the old school, as I call it, the glory days of wrestling before we were panicking about saying this person's name or that guy's flag. So,
Right.
I say that, but then the Sheik goes, huh? Go back over there, Sheiky. Yeah, but Brittany, so have you been to anywhere new in Boston? Because you know me, I like to travel for food sometimes. Anything new? Anything fun going on with you?
Not really. I mean, I've heard of a few cool restaurants opening in Boston, and then a couple in the Providence area too, but I haven't really checked them out very much. I work so much, I don't really get out a whole lot. I stay busy and stay out of trouble, and that's what counts.
Yep, got that right. For me, I try not to get in trouble because I know if trouble comes up, something bad's happening after trouble.
That's right.
Someone's calling your mother.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. But Brittany, I want to thank you again for coming out for the third time on Dudes at Ringside. So, if there's any young fans watching that want to get into the business, what kind of advice would you give them?
Would definitely say do your due diligence and check out the school first. Check out the person that's running the school first, too. Because my biggest issue with that is when there's somebody running a school that you've never heard of before, and you don't know how good they are, how qualified they are, or if they're just in it for the money, you have to be really careful. So you have to look at that trainer. You have to really check out backgrounds, who trained them, what did they do in their career. Really, really check the school out before you decide to give your money up and go to just anywhere. I mean, take it from me. I went to the Fabulous Moolahs and then I finished up my training with Killer Kowalski. And you can't really get any better than that. I mean, but nowadays there's not people like that around. Honestly, the only place I would go if I were starting out today, I would go to Tom Pritchett's school, and that's probably it.
Oh yeah, Pritchard. He
It's probably
has.
the one I would recommend.
Oh yeah, I know a lot of people that would say that too. And there's also by me. There's Alpha Junior
Hmm.
at Battlefield. That's another good school to keep an eye on because a lot of their talent is very nice. And I haven't had any of the people on in a while, but they're good people. They're really nice. They put on a good show. They put on a really good show.
Yeah.
Like really good show.
And that's another thing to look at too. That's a good point. You know, if they have a federation there, which most of them do, if not all, check out the shows first. See the quality of the talent. See what kind of people they're putting out. And that tells you whether or not they have the expertise to be doing what they're doing. Because there's just so many schools that the people, I mean, they're not qualified. They never made it themselves. They never got anywhere in the business. It's just a money grab. So you got to be really careful and pay attention to what you're doing and where you're putting your money.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, Brittany. And it's just like there's some people that just think by going to be trained, they'll be respected, and that's not 100%. You probably know that from that experience. You think you're going to get respected, and then you get a promoter to be very disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely can happen. And a lot of it has to do with where you train. You're absolutely right about that. You know, you build your own reputation coming up, but a lot of people, I remember when I met Stu Hart, you know, he didn't know me. He came up to me, he heard who my trainer was, Killer Kowalski, and he said, "Oh, anybody that went to Walters is a friend of mine." And he shook my hand and, you know, put his arm around me, talked to me for a while. And that was nice. But that was back then. Nobody really gives you that kind of respect anymore because all those old timers that had all that respect from other people, they're gone now. So now there's, a whole new or two generations past. And, like I said, you have to really be careful whose school you go to, and you have to earn your own name as well, along with that. But I think as far as, training the people on not only their skills in the ring, but how to treat others and how to act outside of the ring as well, that's a big part of it. And I know Tom teaches that. So that's definitely where I would go.
Awesome. Brittany, I want to thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. It really means a lot. Guys, if my fans want to follow you on social media, Brittany, how can they find you?
It's The Real Brittany Brown on Facebook. And I'm just dabbling with Instagram. I'm not on there very much, but I'm there. So yep, that's me. Brittany Brown 10,000, I think it is.
Yeah, I was just like, when you messaged me on that account, I was like, am I being tricked? Because I know Brittany Brown would tell me. People think that I don't know cool wrestlers. Legend right here. Woman's legend.
Thank you.
I always, I always say that, Brittany. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, but you're a legend. And it's so awesome that I have a chance to have you now 3 times. Like,
thanks.
I can't explain to you how happy I am that I have you in my circle. And if anybody ever said, "Oh, Dudes at Ringside is this," you'd be like, "Whoa. No. Joe is a good person. He's polite, he's friendly, and he's helping people." It's not, yeah. I'm just happy to have you
definitely
in my universe. And I know the Ringside crew is over the moon the way they've had experiences seeing you on camera. And then they probably told their friends and looked you up. So, Brittany, from the bottom of my heart, the Ringside crew, we said thank you, and always keep the candle lit for the future generations.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And we will catch you in the next one.